there's competition. And you say, what is competition? And people take that for granted. But what competition in the marketplace is, you have people, sellers offering similar products and services. And so if you are the buyer, it's kind of confusing. If you go into Walmart's and you go into the towels, the paper towels, and you look at all the lists of paper towels, all different prices, it's confusing. And it's very important because, and one of the terms that we talk about in the book is Porter's 5 forces. And Porter's 5 forces was derived from a guy named Michael Porter. He's a Harvard professor, and he came up with what we call Porter's 5 forces. And what is Porter's 5 forces? Porter's 5 forces is a theory that tells you, it allows you to evaluate what we call favorable markets. Is in a nutshell, is that a business I should pursue? And we talk about Porter's 5 forces. There are several things that come into mind. First of all, if you're going into a area of competition and you find out there are a lot of competitors, the products are similar, and it's easy for the customer to switch, and it's high, you should run. That means rivalry is high. It's not a market you should go into. So many times you think about people how about selling Avon? If you got, but in certain places that I had, we had a lot of people that was heavy into multi-marketing, and everybody's trying to sell those products. A lot of competitions. And so in high rivalry places where you have a lot of competition, what happens? Price cutting. People try to cut prices, they're stabbing each other in the back. And what happens to profit? Profit goes to zero. So that's one area you don't want to be in. The other area I want to talk about very quickly is that if you're in a market, you try to go into a market, and there's a low barrier to go into a market. The example would be, in the old days, you're probably too young to remember, but it used to be we call video stores, like Blockbusters. You go there, and on every corner, there was a video store, because it was easy to get into. And so in that case, you have a low entry to get into the market, because there's no cost, there's no skin in the game. So you have a low entry to get in. It doesn't cost you to get in, and it doesn't cost you to get out. So in the situation where to get in, there's a lot of cost to get in, there's already some established competitions, then that would be a good market to pursue. But if you're in a market where everybody can get in, you should run.
Okay.
And the other areas that you want to be cautious of is you have an area where you have a lot of substitutions. There are a lot of ways to substitute your product. Probably might not be a good place to go. Where there are more suppliers than they have buyers, may not be a good place. And when you have buyers have more control, and you just have a limited amount, you have an abundance of suppliers, that might be a different place to go to. So those are some of the places I would say, if you're starting a business, you need to be aware of your competition. That's really what most people really don't get into, and that's what I try to teach my students. I try to teach my clients. You need to understand what markets you're pursuing. Is it a favorable market, or is it an unfavorable market, in a nutshell?
Okay. So you're saying if the market's too full, don't do it.
Yeah, if the market it's a market too full, unless you're trying to build something unique. I call it a niche. Unless you're trying to do something that's very different, you may have, say, video. You might have a lot of video stores, but maybe you do something that maybe focuses on games, and so now you're gaming, and so you're kind of different, and so you kind of narrowed down the competitors. So it's always good if you can make your category much smaller.
Yeah.
You don't have to deal with the crowd. It's like being in a crowded pool. you want to kind of stay away. So if you make your category very small, you can compete.
Okay. So does that have anything to do with the target market?